Welcome to Daily Pulse, where we keep your finger on the pulse of the latest breaking news and the news they're keeping from you. Brought to you by the Vigilant Fox and Zeee Media. I'm your host, Maria Zeee. Tonight, Supreme Court approves mass federal layoffs, why the Epstein case will never progress, and weather wars seem to be erupting all over the US, with several states experiencing flash floods in recent days. Let's get into the Daily Pulse. Well, the Supreme Court has sided with President Trump, greenlighting mass layoffs across 20 federal agencies. We'll talk to you about the good aspects of that and also the not so good aspects about this. But let's go through this article first. We have this in from Conservative Roof. It says the US Supreme Court has overturned a radical Clinton-appointed judge's ruling allowing mass layoffs and sweeping restructuring efforts across 20 federal agencies to move forward immediately. It says the 8-1 ruling, with only Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson dissenting, obliterates Clinton-appointed District Judge Susan Ilston's May 22nd temporary restraining order, which had halted thousands of reduction in force notices and stalled Trump's sweeping executive order to downsize federal agencies. The article reminds us how this all came about. Back in February, Trump signed an executive order directing the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, to conduct a top-to-bottom, quote, critical transformation of 20 executive branch agencies. The goal has been to eliminate redundant offices, shutter legacy programs, and slash payrolls at agencies long captured by what the article says entrenched left-wing unions. Judge Ilston outrageously claimed that President Trump required congressional permission to overhaul his own executive branch. It is the prerogative of presidents to pursue new policy priorities and to imprint their stamp on the federal government. But to make large-scale overhauls of federal agencies, any president must enlist the help of his co-equal branch and partner, the Congress, the judge wrote in her order. As a group of conservative former government officials and advisors have written to the court, quote, unchecked presidential power is not what the framers had in mind, the radical Clinton judge said, scolding Trump's decision to overhaul agencies in the executive branch. But now with the Supreme Court's green light, the Trump admin is set to resume its plan to slash unnecessary programs and eliminate up to hundreds of thousands of taxpayer-funded federal jobs. Targets of the layoffs include the Department of Agriculture, Department of Commerce, Health and Human Services, Department of State Treasury, Veterans Affairs, and more than a dozen additional federal bureaucracies. Now, on the face of this, it's great. People want to cut off the fat. They're sick of the bloat in government. They're sick of leftist agendas. They're sick of their taxes being wasted on unnecessary or even destructive spending, like we saw with what DOGE uncovered initially, despite the fact that nobody's been held accountable for the millions and billions being sent overseas for children's gay story time in Iraqi Sesame Street, to name a few. You really do have to wonder why we would put in the effort to uncover all of this without holding anyone accountable. Well, it could be to cement in people's minds that we desperately need an overhaul. And we do, actually. But what good is an overhaul if those who stole from the American people previously get away with it? And what exactly does the overhaul look like? Well, we reported to you previously about Palantir embedding itself into every facet of society. Back in June, it was revealed the administration had tapped Palantir to create a master database of sorts on the American people. Just to refresh your memory on this is from Yahoo Finance, essentially reporting on what was revealed by the New York Times at the time. Trump administration silently employs Palantir to gather personal data of each American, raising privacy and data misuse concerns. This is from June 3rd, 2025. They have reportedly been discreetly working with Palantir to gather personal data of American citizens from various federal agencies, sparking concerns over privacy and potential misuse of personal data. President Trump's March executive order for federal data sharing is being implemented through Palantir's product, Foundry. Although Trump has not publicly discussed this initiative, this platform is already in use by several federal agencies, including the Department of Health and Human Services, as well as the Social Security Administration, as reported by the New York Times. Foundry's capabilities in data organization and analysis could potentially enable the merging of information from various agencies, thereby creating detailed profiles of American citizens. The Trump administration has attempted to access extensive citizen data from government databases, including bank details, student debt, medical claims, and disability status. Palantir's selection as a primary vendor for this project was reportedly influenced by Doge, which was being overseen by Tesla CEO Elon Musk. Critics, including Democratic lawmakers and privacy advocates, fear that such data could be exploited for political purposes, such as policing immigrants and targeting critics. Some Palantir employees fear the company's association with Trump's agenda and potential data breaches, prompting 13 former staffers to sign a letter urging it to cut ties with the administration. So that should alarm anyone who is concerned about the ever-growing surveillance state, regardless of your political affiliation. While people may feel federal agencies should be gutted, some could argue replacing them with private AI companies is far more dangerous in many ways. Catherine Austin Fitts has warned about what this could mean. Take a listen.
What you've done is you've moved between the government contracts. There's a new sole source ICE contract on the way to Palantir as well. That's just announced. I just found that last night. So you've got, they have the Treasury data, they have the IRS data, they have the Social Security data. Now they're going to have all the ICE data.
They had some already.
Yeah. They had some already. And then Trump has announced he wants to privatize Freddie and Fannie, but Palantir's going to underwrite all the packages before they come into Freddie and Fannie. So they're going to have all the housing data. And we know HHS has said they're organizing all the health, public and private health data. So I'm assuming that's going in as well. And basically you're talking about that data being managed and I think at this point basically privatized into AI.
Owned by, they're going to effectively own it. They're going to have AI running it. And one of these things,
I don't know if they will legally, technically, because if you look at how it was transferred, so the Doge operation, if I'm right, and this is my hypothesis, if the Doge operation did what I think, they transferred all the data, and they did it when an XAI announced a partnership with Palantir.
yes.
And then the government turned around, and Palantir had a lot of contracts with those agencies anyway, but then they gave them additional contracts. And so they have plenty of money, especially the ICE is going to be sole source, so you can just do pretty much whatever you want. So they have plenty of money to manage that data, and yes, I think they have it on a private basis. And what's interesting, I have somebody, a professional that I work with who for his business has to do income verification. And magically 2 weeks after Doge got the Treasury, Social Security, and IRS, suddenly the income verification service he uses announces they have 100% of Americans now complete data on everyone magically.
It's astonishing. And one of the elements of the ICE contract is that they can track immigrants' location in real time through Palantir back to ICE. That's the kind of surveillance.
Which means they can attract everyone.
Exactly.
Right.
There's absolutely no reason that doesn't apply to the citizens.
The ICE story is complicated because there are multiple things going on, but there's no doubt the primary thing going on is building a complete biometric surveillance of the entire population.
Now, of course, people want the illegals out of the country, so when it comes to considering Palantir's use for that, people would likely be comfortable with it. But the problem is that it doesn't end there. It's being embedded into all federal agencies, and as we reported to you recently, key head roles at departments like the HHS are being filled with Palantir staff. So it doesn't end with the illegals. The beast is growing. And we only have to look to a country like Argentina to see the model. Javier Milei, touted as the libertarian, anti-socialist, anti-woke leader, came to destroy the establishment. You would remember his video showing how he's going to gut all of these federal agencies, ripping them down off the wall. We were sold on how this was going to slash bureaucracy and cut the red tape. And maybe it did. But in the meantime, this is from The Guardian in August of 2024. Oh, Argentina is going to use AI to predict future crimes. Pre-crime, like Minority Report. So the point is this. It appears that every which way we turn, and no matter the apparent benefits of it, the all-seeing eye of AI is being foisted upon us. Elon Musk has made waves recently, announcing his launch of the America Party, an alternative to the establishment, we're told. Here's a post from Tesla owners Silicon Valley. America's party will be focused on reduce debt, responsible spending only, modernize military with AI/robotics, pro-tech, accelerate to win in AI, less regulation across the board, but specifically in energy, of course, for AI, free speech, pro-natalist, centrist policies everywhere. And they ask, are you down for this? Well, considering Doge opened the door for Palantir, we're not so sure the cloaked solutions being offered to us are what the people will ultimately want. It's important to look beyond the curtain and beyond the glitz and glamour of what's presented in the media. We'll continue to try and do that for you. Are you protected in a world where threats of EMPs, solar flares, 5G, and all types of EMF are interfering with our very existence? Escape the grid with Escape Zone, bringing you the highest quality Faraday technology for ultimate preparedness. Choose when and where your devices are detectable. Faraday bags protect you from EMPs, car theft, card and device skimming, identity theft, tracking, Bluetooth, and GPS. Choose from premium mobile Faraday bags, crossbody bags, laptop bags, and even women's handbags, or opt for the optimum protection with a ballistic backpack, combining cutting-edge Faraday technology with a ballistic 3A Kevlar for the ultimate protection and preparedness. Now you can also protect from EMF with their top-notch EMF beanies and blankets, shielding you from some of the most harmful frequencies in our environment. Whatever your needs are, Escape Zone has you covered, and their range is perfect for personal use, family use, or even as a gift for someone you truly care about. Visit escapezone.com/pulse and protect you and your loved ones today. That's escapezone.com/pulse. Well, it's pretty clear to everyone that the government wants to move on from Epstein. It's a desecration to talk about it, we're told. However, many out there, including some die-hard Trump loyalists, would rather see some exposure. We've covered this in detail, so we won't get into all of it today, but it's very hard to just move on and act like this never happened. With all the questions that have arisen throughout this entire process, bungled Fox News appearances were virtually countless at this point. Some are saying that we should let it go because it could potentially bring down the entire government. That in itself is a concern as to the potential levels that Epstein tentacles reach. It suggests the entire government is compromised. To ignore that compromise for the sake of maintaining a facade is simply not possible. Now, if high-ranking government officials, be it senators or congressmen or whoever it may be, are involved, they should be dealt with one by one and replaced in a timely manner, at bare minimum with someone not embroiled in this fiasco in any way whatsoever. Well, this in From Modernity, investigative journalist explains why Epstein case will never progress. They're not going to give an inch, he says. Journalist Nick Bryant notes in this viral clip from the Sean Ryan podcast that the Jeffrey Epstein case is being covered up by the federal government and will never progress because it would destroy their entire operational system. Quote, Epstein had cameras in all of his homes. Epstein was definitely a blackmail artist, Bryant notes. The government wants to make sure that does not come out. A huge part of our political system is predicated on blackmail. Let's take a listen.
Blackmail plays an integral role, and I've been at this for 21 years, and Epstein had cameras in all of his homes. I mean, Epstein was definitely a blackmail artist. And the government wants to make sure that does not come out, that a huge part of our political system is predicated on blackmail. And especially if that dark, malignant corner of the intelligence that is using blackmail against our politicians and other people, if they were using children, I mean, that would make the American people erupt. So that's why that Wikipedia page is locked down. And that's why this is important. This is, for that dark corner of intelligence, this is Omaha Beach. They're not going to give an inch because this is the last thing that they want out. And it's amazing how the Epstein scandal has been covered up. If you look at all the victims and all the perpetrators and all the procurers involved in the Epstein network, I mean, we're talking and the people that facilitated it, like the pilots and like Epstein's house managers and the cooks and everybody else. We're talking scores and scores of people. And no one's been indicted except for Ghislaine Maxwell. And that really shows that our government, unfortunately, wants to stop it there. Our government does not, I mean, although Americans do, I think, are coming around to the belief that Epstein was taking part in blackmail, or a lot of them, it doesn't make sense. Why is our government aiding and abetting child trafficking? And unless they're protecting some very powerful people and a political process, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only way that it makes sense.
The article goes on, it's clear that there is a massive cover-up in operation. A former CIA officer went on Fox News and said, on the Epstein whitewash, I just don't buy it. I know how these people operate. Trump vowed to provide transparency on the case, yet his DOJ is putting up a brick wall, prompting many of his supporters to call it out as unacceptable. Many have found themselves reluctantly having to agree with the likes of Trump hater Cenk Uyghur, it says, and CNN propagandist Jake Tapper. Jake Tapper has actually called on the Trump administration to release the trove of Epstein documents that they have, saying that the American people are being played for fools and this is not going to go away. I never thought so many people would be agreeing with CNN, but it's happening. Cenk is saying it's literally insane to say that you won't prosecute child rapists. It is insane. Meanwhile, Representative Anna Paulina Luna, who chairs the task force on the declassification of federal secrets, notes in an ex post, the American people deserve to know the truth, ref Epstein, regardless of who it impacts. She added that there is further evidence that can be authorized for release, declaring that she will push for it. The American people should be free to come to their own conclusions, she says. The truth will always come out one way or another. Well, Tucker Carlson has two theories why Pam Bondi won't release the files. Let's take a listen to what he has to say.
So let's just assess this logically. They're covering up, the DOJ, the current DOJ under Pam Bondi is covering up crimes. Very serious crimes by their own description.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they doing that?
Yeah.
So there are really only two potential explanations that I can think of. Maybe you've got another. The first is that Trump is involved, that, you know, Trump is on the list, that they've got tape of Trump doing something awful. I don't believe that for two reasons. One, I've talked to Trump about it a lot. And I know him. He's not that, you know, for whatever his sins, I don't think he's that guy, actually. I don't think he likes creepy sex stuff. That's just my view. But moreover, more, I think, convincing is that this is all information that the Biden administration had. And if there was evidence that Trump had been involved in illegal sexual activity, you think the people who made up Russiagate wouldn't have leaked it?
Right.
Come on now. So the only other explanation that I can think of, again, maybe you've got another, is that intel services are at the very center of this story, U.S. and Israeli, and they're being protected. I think that seems like the most plausible.
That's the most obvious. I have a history of this. There have been multiple documented cases of pedophilia inside of the CIA perpetrated by CIA officers, documented that in many of those cases, I believe over a dozen cases, this was a BuzzFeed news piece years back, where the CIA specifically did not want to prosecute those individuals in federal court for fear that they would reveal sources and methods if they were pulled into open court. And they basically just made it go away. The only time they actually prosecuted somebody for child pornography was whenever he'd already being prosecuted for mishandling classified information.
Well, when they want to crush you, they put kiddie porn in your computer. It's why I don't have a computer. Don't own one.
Yeah, if you're an important person, you should be careful.
No computer in my house.
This is an important thing, though, is that we already have documented cases of them covering this up. I believe the CIA Inspector General, I forget the exact quote, but he said something along the lines of, you wouldn't even believe the amount of child porn, that I've seen while I'm on this job.
This is all very polarizing and divisive, to say the absolute least. Many people in all camps have had their hopes up for some time now, but a refusal to prosecute these types of crimes is irrecoverable for many. Some are stating there is more at play here, a potential bait and switch, if you will. Only time will tell, but as it stands, it's not looking good. We want to tell you about Trust IRA, bringing access to cryptocurrency wealth to real Americans. Their Animus AI trading platform works 24/7, analyzing market data and executing advanced crypto strategies that are beyond simply buy and hold, helping true Americans build impressive wealth. There's a reason their system was named the #1 crypto technology platform by Bitcoin Magazine from over 1,500 global competitors. Whether you're a teacher, truck driver, small business owner, or retiree watching inflation eat away your 401k, Trust IRA's advanced Animus AI gives red-blooded Americans the same advantages as those coastal elites. Right now, their clients are seeing over 250% returns on their investments. And with military-grade security, investments are protected by up to $200 million in insurance. Don't wait. Visit dailypulsecrypto.com and find out how they can help you join the financial revolution that's finally giving forgotten Americans access to the greatest crypto wealth opportunity in history. For a limited time, they're offering our viewers up to $2,500 in bonus crypto when you open an account. Crypto created 80,000 new millionaires last year. Why not you next? Visit dailypulsecrypto.com. That's dailypulsecrypto.com today. Weather wars are intensifying across America, and it's impossible to ignore anymore. On Monday, we interviewed private pilot Gary Haven, who's been assisting with the Texas floods, which tragically have claimed over 100 lives. We told you about the weather manipulation operations that were taking place in Texas just 2 days prior. And whilst the CEO of Palantir-backed Rainmaker says his cloud seeding operation did not cause the floods, we also pointed to Dubai as an example of cloud seeding gone horribly wrong. The truth is, you can't guarantee that cloud seeding or any type of weather manipulation can be perfectly controlled or isolated to one area. In fact, in Australia's Rainmaking Control Act of 1967, yes, you heard that right, 1967, it's been going on for a long time, it openly admits that weather modification operations in one state may affect another state, meaning you can have adverse effects hundreds or even thousands of miles away from the original location of the operation. Just look at any radar of any storm front and you can see that it can travel from the east coast to the west coast, sometimes dissipate midway or continue on and then dissipate when it hits the open water. As we've also seen, they can also hit multiple countries depending on where they are. The weather is Earth-wide. Well, these catastrophic weather conditions are now spreading to multiple places across the United States. Shocking footage has emerged of the exact moment flash flooding began in New Mexico. The Rio Ruidoso rose from 18 inches to more than 20 feet in under an hour. The Post says this is absolutely horrifying. You can see very similar scenes and I guess the pace at which this rose, like Texas, rising to over 20 feet in a very short amount of time over there in Texas. And now we're seeing the same thing in New Mexico, unprecedented rising flood levels. But New Mexico isn't the only place. Flash floods have slammed Arkansas and Oklahoma. Again, water rescues, roads underwater, lives flipped overnight. Chicago, Texas, New Mexico, now this. We'll just play you some of that footage here. This is from Arkansas. Water rising very, very quickly again. Flash floods just happening everywhere. And then we go to Oklahoma. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. What is going on? Tragically, 3 people have sadly passed away in the New Mexico flooding, 2 of them being small children. The floods were triggered after a sudden 2 to 3 inches of heavy rainfall. The victims are a 5-year-old girl, a 7-year-old boy, and a 40 to 50-year-old man. I'll just play you this video here while we read this. My niece and nephew were found. Unfortunately, they didn't survive the flood. I appreciate everyone in this community for your thoughts and prayers, the children's aunt said on Facebook. We also want to thank everyone who shared my post and helped keep an eye out for them. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Devastating. Rest in peace. Charlotte and Sebastian. Well, MJ Truth Ultra on X says a congressperson from Utah who would like to remain anonymous sent me some concerning documents regarding weather modification. The language here is diabolical. When researching this language, I also found the same for New Mexico, where there is a severe flash flooding happening right now. These bills declare that water derived from cloud seeding shall be considered part of the natural water supply, quote, as if no cloud seeding project had been conducted. It effectively erases the artificial intervention, shielding it from new appropriations and legal scrutiny. MJ Truth Ultra has shared the text being referred to here from Utah and New Mexico. All water derived as a result of cloud seeding shall be considered a part of the natural water supply in the same sense as if no cloud seeding project had been conducted. And we see the exact same language on the other side of the page there from Utah. New documentation also shows that New Mexico spent $198 million to weaponize the weather. House Bill 130 approved a 3-year cloud seeding operation. They said it was to fight drought. Now floodwaters are swallowing homes. 20 feet of water in 30 minutes. Structures shredded. Entire towns drowning. This is not a natural disaster. It is state-funded, engineered weather warfare. You didn't consent, but you're paying the price. And just again, wanting to show you the exact text shared there from this bill, Section 3 appropriation, $1,980,000 is appropriated from the general fund to the Board of Regents of New Mexico State University for expenditure in fiscal years 2025 through 2027 for the New Mexico Department of Agriculture to develop and administer a cloud seeding weather modification pilot project. As we said the other day, media and governments usually dismiss this and say that cloud seeding didn't cause a particular event, but the reality is that cloud seeding and any weather modification can easily become an unmitigated disaster. But thinking that it's all an accident or an unintended result also provides cover for when targeted weather operations occur, like most agree happened in North Carolina last year. Well, speaking of North Carolina, a second death has now been blamed on flooding from Chantal in North Carolina. So that's happening now as well. Now, what we can say is highly unlikely related to cloud seeding, but certainly related to climate anomalies. Per Fox Weather yesterday, hundreds of earthquakes detected at Washington's Mount Rainier. It says that a swarm of hundreds of small earthquakes has been detected rumbling deep below Mount Rainier in Washington state early Tuesday morning, though geologists stress there is no cause for concern. The quakes began just before 1:30 a.m. and have been occurring at a rate of several times per minute. All the quakes have been occurring between 1.2 and 3.7 miles beneath the summit and have been small in magnitude. The largest quake measured so far is 1.7, and none have been felt at the surface. Now, while they're saying there's no cause for concern, this is certainly an anomaly nonetheless, because from what we understand, typically earthquakes at this volcano are at a rate of about 9 earthquakes per month. Swarms typically occur 1 to 2 times per year. They're usually much smaller in terms of the number of events. But what we're seeing is a swarm of hundreds of small earthquakes occurring several times per minute. So it's definitely not a normal day at Mount Rainier. It does call to memory biblical weather warnings. And one last video we wanted to show you is of this blue rain phenomenon. Now, we want to state the community note on this post, and the post itself does say the video is from May. But nonetheless, why on earth is blue rain falling anywhere? Take a look at this.
Hey, we're camping in this beautiful state park in Texas, and it's been raining, and the water that's coming out of the sky is blue. And it's not this tarp, because it's happening on this tarp too. Look at that. This is crazy. Are they chemtrailing us in Texas?
Now, just in case you think this is an isolated incident, we encourage you to look up Blue Rain on X. You'll find a number of different videos, but here's another one from May, just in case you want to see it.
Valley, and it was raining a couple minutes ago. Can anyone explain the blue water?
So Central Valley is in California, therefore those reports weren't isolated to Texas. And again, while probably unrelated to the current floods, why on earth would blue rain fall anywhere? Was it just a hoax? We don't know at this stage, but we've seen many anomalies with weird shaped and oversized hail, snow that doesn't melt. We've even seen videos of flammable hail. Needless to say, none of this is normal. What are they doing to us? We mentioned to you on Monday that MTG was introducing legislation to make weather modification a felony crime. Given these flash floods erupting and taking lives, that legislation can't come soon enough. There are things that you can do to keep yourself fit, healthy, and protected in this world where it seems like attacks on our health come from all sides. Take charge of your health with the Energetic Health Institute, giving you the tools to lead a healthier, more balanced life, brought to you by Dr. Henry Ely and doctors just like him, true healers and physicians who are making people well successfully outside of Big Pharma. Visit myehialoha.org/#VFox and join their live conferences, Virtual Solutions Summit, engaging Q&A sessions with their first-class, heart-centered professionals, and access all past event replays anytime, anywhere. You can also join the Healing for the Ages community led by Drs. Brian Ardis, Ed Group, Henry Ely, and Jana Schmidt, and become part of a movement dedicated to building a healthier future where health and healing come first. All of these invaluable resources are a whopping 30% off when you use code VFOX. So head to myehialoha.org/#VFox and use promo code VFOX for 30% off today. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. If you haven't noticed, we're committed to telling you the truth no matter what. You can catch us doing that every single weeknight at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's every weekday, Daily Pulse, where we keep your finger on the pulse of the latest breaking news and the news they're keeping from you. You can support us to stay independent by shopping directly with our sponsors who make this show possible. Their links are in the description below. You can also like, share, and give us your thoughts and comments on the broadcast. Make sure to follow Vigilant Fox on X at Vigilant Fox, as well as Substack to stay up to date with the latest breaking news. Follow Zeee Media on Rumble, where we also air this show each weekday and post our other deep dives. Follow at ZEE_media on X. And as always, all of our content is also on zeemedia.com. Join us every weeknight at 7 p.m. Eastern. Tell everyone about it. And as always, keep your finger on the pulse with the Daily Pulse. Good night.